Cells are really marvels of the nature. They made us. Whatever we are, the structural and functional unit of us are cells, and you know it. But what makes cells so marvelous, so sophisticated, so complicated? These are the organelles which are present in the cell, and one of the most important organelles in the cell, the introduction of which have really brought so much complexity, so much diversity in the living world, and that organelle is mitochondria. Yes, you are right, the powerhouse of the cell. They are unique organelles. They are unique because they are involved in the energy production. Without mitochondria, all the animals which are eukaryotic, they would have not been here, because माइटोकॉन्ड्रिया ही नहीं है तो ना सिर्फ यूकैरियोट्स नहीं होंगे, बल्कि दी एनर्जी को प्रोडक्शन का जो इतना बड़ा मैकेनिज्म है, दैट वुड हैव नॉट बीन इवॉल्व्ड, वो इर्तिका पजीर ही ना होता. आइए थोड़े से इनके कंपोनेंट्स की बात करें, यानी कि माइटोकॉन्ड्रिया, what components make mitochondria? First of all, like any other organelle, it consists of an outer membrane, an inner membrane, an intermembrane space, and mitochondrial matrix. Now, let us talk a little bit more about each of these components. The outer membrane, that is the membrane which is engulfing the whole mitochondria, which is surrounding the whole mitochondria rather, is permeable to many ions and molecules. It contains many integral membrane proteins for its function. It contains many small porins are small pore-like structure, like pore structure like proteins through which different molecules can pass easily. Then comes the inner one, the inner mitochondrial membrane, perhaps the most important part of the mitochondria is, to me, it is the inner mitochondrial membrane. It is in the form of cristae, folding bani hui hai. Why this folding is produced? Because it increases the surface area. Most important thing, it contains the machinery which is involved in the synthesis of ATP, and because of this, it is very crucial for the energy production itself. And finally, there comes another very important portion of the mitochondria, that is the mitochondrial matrix. Before mitochondrial matrix, let us little bit talk about the inner membrane space, that is space between the outer and inner membrane. As I have told you, it is the region between inner and outer membrane. It contains fluid which resembles very much to the cytosol, the fluid in the cytoplasm. It also contains ions and sugars, and then comes the innermost part of the mitochondria, that is the mitochondrial matrix. It contains DNA, mitochondrial ribosomes, and many other ions which are involved in the, or which are used by the electron transport chain. Also, you should keep in mind that electron transport chain, as I have already told you, that is the machinery which is involved in the ultimately in the synthesis of the ATP, that is also embedded into the mitochondrial membrane, that is in the inner membrane space. I will not go into the detail of the different parts of the ETC, because in the preceding topics we will be talking a lot about. Another very important thing you should know about mitochondria, that its different compartments are differently permeable, and it is very important. For instance, outer membrane is, as I have already told you, is is relatively more permeable. It is not very restrictive, but the inner membrane is very restrictive. And because of this, what happens actually is that the process of ETC and ATP synthase can take place because of this differential permeability. This differential permeability makes it possible that these processes which are taking place in the mitochondria, they can take place, and you will learn it more when we will be talking about proton gradients and the ATP synthesis. So, the things you should keep in mind that mitochondria is a very unique organelle, consists of different compartments, inner, outer. The inner compartment contains the inner mitochondrial membrane, and the whole mitochondria is surrounded by what we say the outer mitochondrial membrane, and then there is the mitochondrial matrix, and in the mitochondrial membranes there takes place one of the most important process, what we say the electron transport chain. So, as you can see in this animation also, that how beautifully different parts of the mitochondria have been arranged by nature. The nature have really, we must say, done a really marvelous work when we see the mitochondria.